Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're talking about the Boker Plus Exskelibur. And yes, I pronounced that Exskelibur. And for those of you that are, word Nazis, and you're looking up there at the title thinking, oh, Zell spelled that wrong. I did not. Now, I don't think I did. If there's somebody out there that knows for sure how it's really supposed to be spelled, please check me. But it is spelled the way it is because it is a collaboration between Mike Skellern and Fred Berger. And these guys have come together to design what is a really, really slick knife. And let's get a good look at it. To start with, on this particular model, we've got a nice carbon fiber slab of a handle here. It's got just a slight bit of contouring, and all of the edges have been broken. So they're nice and rounded over and really smooth. Hardware, as we can see here, has pretty deep recesses and seems to be pretty good. I have not disassembled this knife. It does not belong to me. It belongs to Nick. And it works so well, I didn't want to take it apart. But there we go. We've got a backspacer, and I'm not sure what the backspacer material is. It has the appearance of carbon fiber, but it could well be G10. Either way, looks nice in there. And as we roll it around the backside, we've got a real nice pocket clip. Now, I'm not sure if that thing is titanium or stainless. It appears to be titanium, but it is of the stamped variety instead of the milled out variety, which, as we'll see, works pretty good. And we've got slightly fancy hardware for our pivot, slightly oversized, and pretty nice. And one last note here, we do have some texture to this carbon fiber, so it's not slick carbon fiber overlay like we get on a lot of knives. And we'll get some size comparison out of the way. We'll do our standards here. Buck 110. The Rat Model 1 has taken off, so we have an 829 Elite sitting here. We'll stick that out here with it. And, you know, it's in this size range at 4.64 in length, but it's way thinner than either of these knives at 0.36 in total width or thickness, and that is just beautiful. It's a really thin knife and a closed height of 1.33, and where it beats both of these, and believe it or not, this knife is in league with this one on weight. 2.42 ounces. That's 68.6 grams. This is a super lightweight. We've got titanium on the backside, carbon fiber on the front side, and S35 VN, but it's a .106 thick blade, or about 2.7 millimeters, so everything here is very lightweight for its size. And moving on along, let's get a look at that blade. And what we get is a very beautiful slab of S35 VN. This one happens to be Nick's knife, and it is number, if we can get it in the light right, 457. And it is a high, flat grind, nicely satin finished blade from Boker. Has Skellern on the back of it. And, of course, we have our blade steel designation up there. And this, guys, because of its geometry and its nice, thin blade stock, this thing is just a super slicer. You know, even before I put an edge on it, whenever it had the stock edge from Boker, it was still just a laser cutter. Now that we've done this to it, you know, it's even more of a laser cutter. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was somewhere around 15 degrees with probably an 18 or 19 degree micro bevel. And wow, it has just really turned into a laser cutter. And that is a beautiful thing. Now, our blade length is 3.5 inches with an edge length of 3.3, and Boker even did a good job on the choil. It's not perfect, but it just barely widens up some down there, so they done a pretty good job. Got really beautiful grinds on both sides of it. just a little bit of flat up there for you guys that are using fixed angle sharpeners. So very, very nice. We do have some jimping right here. It's not, it's well placed enough. We'll get to that here in a minute. But for now, we're going to go to our pause and read card, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so this thing is obviously a frame lock, and it's running on phosphor bronze bearings, best I can tell. We have somewhat early lockup, probably 30% there or so, but it locks up good and tight. No blade play in any direction. Now, it's not a super drop-free knife. You can shake it free, but it's one of those where you've got to kind of play with it, and I wanted the blade to be perfectly centered down the wickets there, so it didn't come down to where it's just super free. But, you know, that's alright with this style of knife. The action works plenty good enough, and everything's light enough that you can still flick it closed just like that pretty easy. And as far as action goes, for those of you who don't know, this is a front flipper, and that's something to be aware of. This is an Excalibur I. If you go and you look at the Excalibur series, they come with and without this extension on the blade to make them a front flipper. I believe all of the 3.5-inch ones do have that, but be sure and check if you're looking at buying one. And the smaller Excalibur does not have the front flipper on the designs. You know, there may be some now, but I don't think so. So be aware of that. Ask old Nick Shabazz about that issue. He likes to talk about that. So the way the front flipper works is you get the knife kind of in your hand like this, put your thumb up here, and push this way. Knife flips open. It is not my preferred method. There are two issues that come about here, and for this knife it's not a big deal. This is a gentleman's carry knife or a lady's purse carry knife. It is not something to go out and do heavy-duty work with. If you want to do that, you know, we've got a Gecko here, or, you know, one of the other knives. This is more your dress knife, your office knife, those sorts of things. But what this causes is a neat mechanism that works really, really well, but you lose your guard here. You know, if we have, say, our, this isn't a great example, but still is. Whenever you flip this knife open, you have the flipper tab down here to keep your hand from running up on the knife. We'll use the mantra. It's a better example. Flipper tab back there, flip it around, and there's that flipper tab to keep you from, if you have to make a stabbing motion, to keep you from running your hand up on that blade. And that is a beautiful thing, especially if it's the only knife you're carrying. If you did have to use a knife in a stabbing motion, you would want that. Now, office carry knife, not a big deal if it's not there. But you have that, and it is a dexterity thing. You have to train yourself to do this. It isn't intuitive, you know, like your buck marksman. You pick it up. If you can find the flipper tab and know what to do with it, click and you're open. You know, your speed safe knives, all that, even your Todd Knife and Tool Raptor. Flick, it's open. And so it's something you have to learn. It's not something that's going to be intuitive. Now, one big bonus, no problems with getting your hands on the lock bar, because if you're holding it in such a way that you can get to that flipper, your hand is not going to be on the lock bar. So that issue goes away. And let's get this guy in our Levi's and get a look and see how that works out. And with it in the tip-up configuration, there we go. Sets down in there good. We got a nice curve here, and hopefully, I didn't carry this one a lot because it's such a beautiful knife. I didn't want to mess it up for Nick, so I was kind of very selective on when I did carry it. But hopefully it's not going to run into things whenever you get in those tight spots. It doesn't appear like it's one that would. However, if you turn it around and you carry it tipped down, you have reversed it, and you've got this area here that's jimped and kind of more pointy sticking out there, and that's more likely to get caught on things whenever you're going through those tight spaces. But overall, I like the pocket clip. I like the fact that they just did a nice stamped pocket clip. I do believe that it's titanium. I didn't exactly look that up. It could be steel, but sure doesn't act like it. Now, one thing to note here is they used Phillips screws there. I do not like that. We start seeing this more and more often, and I don't quite understand it. I don't know if it's us reviewers throwing fits and wanting standardized hardware, so they think, oh, well, Phillips is a great standard piece of hardware, we'll use that. No, Phillips is not. Phillips is not a standard piece of hardware. No one understands which size Phillips bit to use, so you end up with stripped hardware. So no, don't use Phillips. I would prefer you use flat. At least, you know, you can fix that. Knife makers out there, Phillips hardware, bad. T6, bad. T8 and above, good. Square, good. Allen, good. Phillips, bad. Proprietary, bad. Okay, off my soapbox, and we'll go on to ergonomics. Ergonomics on this guy are very, very good. Like we talked about, we have no guard here to keep us from running up on the blade, but being a light-duty knife, that's fine. You get it like this, you got that jimping kind of under the back of your thumb, and that works out really nicely, and it's just great. You can get a hold of it pretty much any way you want to, and it just all works. You know, and that's Boker going with a very simple design. We've got just a little bit of a hook here, a nice soft curve there, and then just a standard handle, kind of a drift away here. Very simple, and it just makes sense. Most of your best knives, most ergonomic knives, are very simple on this side of the handle design. Whenever they get to making choils and swoopy stuff, it's gonna goof it up for somebody. You know, hand size is going to have an effect, all these things. Whenever we keep it simple like Boker's done here, it's great for almost everybody, and that's a beautiful thing. Action, we looked at that a little bit, and it is just great once you figure out how to do it. Now, can shake it closed. Now, this one is a little tight. I think I could get it a little better, but I did not take it apart. I'll let Nick do that. And overall, guys, this thing is just a beautiful, beautiful knife. And yes, I spelled it correctly. Anyhow, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.